Do you feel the pressure to grow your business, but doing so feels a bit like drowning? Welcome to Slow Growth Business, the show for business owners and leaders to quiet the noise and lead your business to success, one day at a time, slow and steady. If you feel your business is running you and you're ready to run it, you've come to the right place. Now, here are your hosts, business coaches Jimmy DeGroat and me, Kyle Bullock.
Welcome, everybody, to the Slow Growth Business Podcast. I'm Jimmy DeGroat. That's Kyle Bullock. And I want to encourage something right off the bat. Please subscribe. Most of our viewers, we get a lot of viewers, but a lot of them aren't subscribed. So when you are subscribed, you get notifications, especially if you ring that little bell. So enough of that ad, but it's important to subscribe to this. So especially if you like what we're talking about. And we have something really cool to talk about today.
Yeah,
All right.
something that energized me.
It's something that, well, okay. So Kyle and I have been working with clients, and we did a little bit of a, how should I say this? We did something a little bit of, I don't want to call it an aw shucks. We did a little reversal, and we kind of realized something halfway down the road that, oh crap, we should have known this right in the beginning. And the thing is, we can consult with people. We can tell them what to do, and to the extent that they do what we tell them to do when we're advising them and consulting them, it really all depends upon their big why. You know, their big gotta do it. And I asked one of our clients this week. I said, "Well, listen, why don't you just sell this? Just sell this and go work at a bank, or, you know, go work somewhere 9 to 5. You know, why don't you do that?" And I knew why she didn't want to do that. But it was in asking that question that then she kind of gave you and I that real answer.
And
So Kyle,
I just have to comment on that. And that moment, it came out of a place of deep frustration. I mean,
yeah.
remember, as you said that, you were goading. I think this week we've had a little like mischievous spark in us to kind of goad people. And I go to the day, you go to the other. So you goad her, and she just kind of like snapped, and she goes, "No, I wouldn't do that. And here's why." and you got her to this place of kind of enraged.
Got her there.
Yeah, get out of here. What are you talking about? I'd never do that. This is why. And just kind of, it fell out of her mouth.
Right. Yeah. But it was the ridiculousness of why not that? Why I'm doing this? There. Now we get it. Now we're getting somewhere.
You know, I came into leadership training. And when I say that, I mean that in a scientific sense. Master's work in leadership, where we're in a research setting, in a university, studying leaders and the things they do and the systems they operate. So this is when I'm being trained in that kind of culture. And this is around the same time that Seth Godin's book, The Power of Why, whatever it's called,
was great.
And it was all about, the whole time in that zeitgeist was all about, you got to know your why. You got to know your why. You got to have great missions, have great vision statements.
Right.
And everybody has like a mission statement, vision statement. It was stale then, it was stale now, because they come up with these missions and these value statements that's just like, okay,
we exist to provide customers with high quality, blah, blah, blah. And I'm boring myself just saying it.
ChatGPT can do a better job of it now than we did back then. And I never liked it that much for that reason. And people would always, then after we would work with them, they'd go, okay, so then what? Now that I have a mission, so what?
Mm-hmm.
Mission statement, great. Okay, and in the world of slow growth business, I will say having a why is important. But one of the questions I get asked by friends who are like, well, how do you like consulting? And I say, I love what I do. And they go, well, how do you get people to do what you ask? People don't do what you prescribe, right? It's kind of famously known. You can hire someone, give you advice, and then you never take it.
Right.
And it's absolutely the case. we give great, we got all these advice, the stuff that we've learned, and there's always some excuse that we didn't get to it. And no, I didn't send that inventory back. I didn't take care of that marketing thing. I've kicked that can down the road. How many
Exactly.
times do we get that, right, Jimmy? Like every week, every day.
All the time.
And
You bet.
it's like, so what causes that? Well, it goes back to what you were just saying. People don't have a why. They've drafted all these statements.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm leading all that to the story I'm about to tell you, because what you described was that when you push someone in the direction and you pushed against them, and specifically you pushed against her deep why that she couldn't even articulate herself.
Mm-hmm.
She's never really said it that way.
Right.
Okay. You pushed it, and her response is going to be one of two things. When you know it's at the core, it's going to be, I am so excited about this. It makes my heart sing. I can't not say it out loud, and it blows me away every time I think about it.
Right.
Or she gets ticked off at you. How dare you? No, I wouldn't go work at a freaking bank. What's wrong with you?
Right. The absurdity of that.
What? Yeah. This is what I do.
Right. Either way, it's coming out. That's okay.
Yeah.
Either way, it's coming out.
And when it happens, because it happened this morning, you and we look at each other on the camera and we smile.
Who's going to talk first?
That's right.
Who's
So why are
gonna
we
talk?
smiling? Why are we smiling when we see it?
We're smiling because we know what's about to happen, or we know that this is the reality that's going to come out. Or I'm just smiling because I love uncomfortable pauses.
That's right. I know. That's the salesman in us. We're not, the salesman in us don't worry about quote unquote
Yeah.
conflict.
Yeah. Let them be uncomfortable.
So the story goes like this. Similar thing like you just did with a client. I'm talking to one of our clients. We're on the call, and there's this thing on paper that we've identified and have for some weeks that says this is kind of a dud. It's not working on paper. You got to
Mhm.
you got to do X, Y, and Z. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for weeks, nothing on X, Y, or Z has happened. And then today, still nothing on X, Y, Z has happened. I've got to bring it back up. This is still a dud.
Right.
It's showing up in all the paperwork. And then in both of these circumstances, the one that you talked about, the one I'm talking about, our client said something that just completely rubbed me the wrong way. Not to me, but it made me upset for them.
Mhm.
They mentioned at some level that they felt either backed into a corner that they couldn't get out of, that they're the owner of the business, but they got backed into a corner, or I can't control that. That's not
Mhm.
mine. I can't do that. And I just came up unglued a bit because I said, wait a second, wait a second. You own the company, right? You run the ship. You're the leader. If
Yeah.
you're a manager listening to this, I'd look at you and say, you're in charge of the team, aren't you? You
Mhm.
have control over policies, don't you? You can talk to the leader, can't you? And you're telling me that you are backed into a corner and you can't do something? I have to tell you, you are the one who can do something. You're the only
Right.
one who can do something.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I push against this guy and I say, hey, you are El Jefe here. You gotta do something.
Sure.
And he pushes back. I can't. Da, da, da. As we push, and about like you said, about halfway through the conversation, we did an oh shucks, because the more we're pushing against the paperwork, it's starting to become apparent there is a deeper reason why this thing has not changed in the company, and it came down to a human being,
Mhm.
a person, a person that was important, and we're doing. The reason that we're doing this thing that doesn't make sense on paper is because it actually benefits this human being. And
Right.
I said, you know what? Did a Jimmy, why don't you just get rid of all of this? Basically, I kind of said, forget that person. Why don't you? And the response was, I wouldn't do that. I'm going to do this because this is the right thing, because I'm going to do it to take care of this person. And that's why we do this. It's
Yes.
not for the papers, it's because of this person. And I was like, that makes me the happiest person
Yeah.
in the world to hear.
We've struck gold.
Ah. Ladies and gentlemen who are watching or listening, That is how you find your why.
Yeah.
When you can get pushed on something that you're not doing, you're not pursuing, you're dragging your feet on, or you feel backed into a corner about and you feel like you can't change. You feeling that stress emotion come up and you get pushed to the point in the right way where you go, I'm either going to tell you the reason why I'm going to do it because it's so passionate to me that I can't go to sleep without thinking of how exciting it is,
Right.
or if you keep pushing me on this, I'm going to come in, I'm going to punch a hole through your stomach because I'm doing this for a greater reason, dang it.
Right. Yeah.
I have a purpose and it may not make sense to you, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, that's why you get into business. That's why you have a business in the first
Yeah.
place. That is your why. Love that.
And interestingly enough, there's two examples here this week that we've had that are like that. And the second example was one that the cash flow wasn't. I mean, it wasn't a great profit margin decision. You know, it was a decision for a person, for the betterment of a person, to support a person, and hey, whatever the reason is, if the reason is solely your big why and you know it, great. Hey, that's the higher purpose. But if you have to arrive at that, even if you have to arrive at that by looking at the absurdity of doing something completely different, the absurdity of just quit. Well, why not quit? You know? Um, and if that's absurd to you, that'll bring out the real reason, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think that people in business, we don't remember our why. I forget it my own from time to
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
because we have just things to do.
Yeah.
And it's hard to articulate. We think that we've done it because we've written down these sentences and these statements and these vision, blah, blah, blahs. Every once in a while, you need an ally, a partner to just push you a little bit in that direction and say,
Hmm.
kind of like kind of like the pushing of the chest up against the wall. Like, okay, come on, really,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
why are you doing this? Until you finally just come back to that person you trust and you go, because I have this reason and this is why.
Yeah.
And so sweet. Now,
Okay. All right.
I got to
I'm
segue for, I got to
all right.
build on that for a second because I want to
Go.
make clear something. Because in both of these circumstances that we talked about, the person came back to us with this why, right?
Hmm.
And we went, okay, I'm glad you said that. Man, that was it right there. That's the meat and potatoes. Now that you've said your why, that does not give you an excuse to keep doing the same thing and expect different results.
Right. Exactly.
Now that you have a reason to do things unconventionally or a different way than maybe a consultant outside would tell you to do it,
Yeah.
now we're going to change our tune and say, great, then every decision we make that doesn't seem to make sense on paper, it better be for the betterment of this person or this idea that you're doing it for. Otherwise, we keep justifying our why just to use that justification as a reason for bad behavior or bad habits. And
Hmm.
that is exactly when we feel stuck or are back against the wall. Because I think I'm doing this for a greater purpose, and I can't do it any other way than the way I've been doing it for this greater purpose. And
Right.
now I feel stuck because something's not working. No, you have to change the mechanism, and it may be unconventional, but it better be for that person. It just better not be an excuse. Your why better not be an excuse to keep doing the same thing and hope for
Yeah.
different results. You
Right.
know?
Yep. Okay. So let's just say, business is pretty darn good. Business is pretty, I'm thinking about this with regard to the church I attend right now, and I'm on a committee, and and I'm asking, uh, is it good enough? Should we be pushing for more? Um, and all those questions is growth a good idea? Um, and so the scenario is this. I'm doing okay. I'm listening to this podcast right now. I'm driving down the road. Our store is hitting record numbers with great profitability. We have very low turnover. Nothing really hurts. Um, but if you asked me right now, I couldn't give you our big why or our big compelling reason to do it. What's a good way that somebody could discover what that really is, what that is now, and maybe raise that little flame of to ignite a little bit more excitement and passion in the business?
Man, that's a great question. And I have two competing thoughts, and you should flesh out which of them is right or if you've got a better idea.
Yeah, yeah.
The first one is something that I'll train on at trade shows. We train on together. It's about creating values. And at the core of values is the things that I can mention enrage you or excite you. So, what was the last thing in your business, your work, your organization that excited you so much that you had to get up off your seat and do something about it? You had to. Or it well, seeing someone violate that value, it made you so upset you just couldn't get over it.
Mm-hmm.
It bothered you for days. Okay. Those intense feelings of highs and lows there, those are indications that your soul is telling you this is where we need to be right now. And this is what we need to work on. And that can be a great indication of finding your why is where's my heart tugging me when I'm really excited and inspired, or I'm really frustrated and enraged at things that are going
Yeah,
against
right.
my values. The other one is another interesting, it's the opposite, right? There's been seasons of my life where I think I have a why, but I'm not feeling so excited and inspired to get off the couch and do anything. And I'm just kind of content. Like you mentioned, business is good, life is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Well, I
nothing
get
hurts.
raised. Yeah, I'm in a safe spot, so I don't really have those highs and lows, but I'm feeling kind of bored. I'm kind of feeling uninterested or uninspired.
Stagnant. Yeah, yeah.
And the other bit of wisdom I've heard from circles is, in that case, just do something. Literally,
Good point.
do
That's what I do.
something.
Yeah.
Do something that you're not doing, right? And throw a complete curveball in your life for just a minute. So, ideally, do it around other people. So, the wisdom would be like, if I'm feeling uninspired, go take an art class at your local museum. Like you've never done that before, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but now you got to go. I had an employee do this. She and her husband were feeling kind of stuck and uninspired, and they were frustrated by world circumstances. They took a clay class at a local museum, and they built this little community of hodgepodge people who felt the same way. They were all doing something together. They were just doing something, and very quickly they became a community that started supporting one another and loving one another. And then when the museum quite literally flooded out and they couldn't meet it anymore, they immediately came together, and their purpose, their mission was to help one another
Yeah.
stay connected. One of the ways you can find a why when you don't have one, and if you're feeling kind of stagnant, is just, I don't do something.
Yeah.
But the rule is you have to do something with your body, move in motion towards and with people. You can't do it alone by yourself on the couch, clicking and clacking on your computer
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote down this gentleman's comment this morning. I don't want to just sling jewelry.
Yeah, so good, wasn't it?
Hey, if you don't know your why not, and I think that's awesome. And I think that's probably my advice too, to follow up on your thoughts is, um, imagine trying to do something else. Imagine just walking away from this. Why wouldn't you just walk away from this right now, today, and go, work at Chick-fil-A, or go start your own photography business, or whatever it is. And maybe it's the absurdity of that that will drive, that'll drive your real why. And why is that absurd? Like Kyle says, we're going to poke you and prod you until we find that. Maybe it's a chest bump, that type of thing.
Can you go back and just scratch on this for a minute? You said it was like put it on a t-shirt worthy. What was it? Explore. Don't worry about your why. Worry about your why not, or talk about your why not.
Yeah,
Not doing something else.
sure.
I mean,
Okay.
that's deep.
We're writing a book, baby. We're gonna start writing books. Do books pay anymore? Not
Not a dime. Not
a time.
a dime. Take it from me.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is though, what does this all come down to? It all comes down to it has to be about more than just money. Why are people calling me in the middle of the podcast? Don't they know I'm a busy, important guy? It's got to be more than about just money. It has to be. If it's just money, then it's you and your little world and your little shell, and that's a sad place to be. You're a sad, depressed, lonely human being if it's all about money and it's all about you. Sorry to break it to you, folks. Sorry to break it to you. But Kyle and I would not be working together if one of us was all about the money. I'm not trying to make us to be great people, but you and I are doing this. We would do it if we didn't get paid. I thank God that we get paid, but we would be doing this because we get a charge out of those revelations that we got from people.
Well, heck, this podcast is technically free, so
Right. So we're not getting paid for what you're getting now.
No. But I was thinking about if you blocked my ability to meet with clients on this, and you couldn't let me see my team in the companies, I'd be so ticked off at you. Like if you were like holding the doors and saying you can't come in here, you can't see these people anymore. I'd be like, I'd want to punch a hole through your gut and say, get out of my way. Because
they're the reason.
Yeah, the reason. I mean, seeing the spark in someone's eye when they get, I can do this with excellence and it's going to change my life and change other people's lives. That there's a moment in time, that spark, when I see it, is just like it's my addiction. I love it because it's just so beautiful. And you get it too when you see that moment.
Yep. If I were you folks, and if I'm a leader of people in a store, or a business, what have you, whoever's listening, maybe you could do that. Maybe you could find your reason to create a spark in the people's eyes that work for you. And one little neat little thing, and we should probably wrap it up here. Little exercise we did a little bit this morning in a meeting that I did with a team, and you inspired it. I said, everybody tell a story of your best sale during this last month that really meant something to the customer. Okay, and we're not talking dollars. I'm not talking, big sales, big items, that types of thing. What meant the most to the customer? And we went around. They had to get going. It was a real short meeting, but it was very important, and it was palatable. And you could see their eyes light up as they said, "Oh my gosh, this guy came in here. He was looking for an emerald ring, and he showed me a picture of what his wife wanted, and it was her birthday that day, and we were just about to close, and we had that exact ring in our showcase, and we sold it to him, and we made his day, we made his week, his year, and just okay, bingo, we win."
Yeah.
End of meeting. I can't do any better than that. That's our closer, folks. But yeah, I mean, that was fun. That was fun. And we didn't go around the meeting and say, "Oh, your sales numbers were this much this last month," and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, because we get bogged down in things, and in bringing this home, like we started. These people we're talking to this morning and this week about their passions and their missions, it's not like they didn't have a why. It's just like the why got buried underneath piles of dirty laundry so it got hidden. And the dirty laundry was just things I got to do and the busyness of the day and the hustle of the business. And then suddenly I feel backed into a corner because I feel like I can't change anything because I'm on my why. We just lost sight of the why for a minute.
Yeah.
So one of the ways to unbury that and to see it again is remember what excites or enrages you, or get up off your couch and go do something with other people.
Yep.
And then, as Jimmy said, the third thing is just tell stories. This is so important for your teams. And I think this takes time to do this, but this is where culture changes, where you as a leader, if you're listening to this and you identified your why, go ask your team to tell you stories of when that why happened. Okay, if I'm doing this business for the sake of this person, ask your team, what did we do this week that really helped that person? If we're doing this because I want to change the lives of my customers in this way, tell me stories about how that really, tell me the stories this week that you saw that happen.
Mm-hmm.
We as human beings, when we tell stories to one another, what we're doing is we're reinforcing with each other what really matters. We're not talking numbers, measures, metrics, or nothing. We're talking about that is mission statements. That is the vision statements. It's in the form of storytelling.
Yeah.
And when we do that, we leave those meetings and we went, I did sell that emerald ring and that was so cool. How wasn't it?
Right.
I
Yeah.
want to see that again this week because next week she's going to ask me the same question and I'm going to have to give her a story and I can't wait to uncover one this week. And then when you come at me with your numbers and your data and your plans, I know all of it is in search of that greater purpose because I got to tell the story about how those numbers changed that life.
Yeah.
You know? My gosh. And folks, we live for this. If you can't tell, we live for this. It jazzes me up so much. I'm going to be so hyper tonight. My family is going to be like, would you please go take a lap? You're driving us crazy.
Yeah. Go swim.
Go swim some laps. But folks, we love this so much. We would love to help you in your company if you want to discover more about your vision, your mission, and how your business. One of our dear friends and help to train retail, Dr. Andy Wood, has put our mission like this: at Train Retail, we help you develop and train your people and your profit for a greater purpose.
Yep.
We develop your people and your profit for a greater purpose. And if that excites you and you want to discover that more in your business, give us a holler.
Yep. And Mike, what's going to happen is you're not going to want to retire after you do all this great stuff in your stories.
That's right.
Only that one person knows what I'm talking about. But hey, no, our jeweler from Texas a couple weeks ago, same thing there.
Same thing there.
Now you got a different problem. Now you don't want to retire. All right, guys. Say goodbye, Kyle.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. See you later.
We hope you leave this episode a little better than when you first began. If you'd like more resources to grow your business slow, steady, and consistently, check out our on-demand video catalog at trainretail.com. Or if you have a question or frustration we can help address in your business, write to us about it. We love to help solve big, ugly problems. So hit us up at kyle@trainretail.com or jimmy@trainretail.com. Good luck out there, and we will see you next time.